The great council chamber floated in the darkness of space, like a gigantic metal flower. Its silver petals stretched for miles, illuminated by rivers of glowing purple light. Thousands of alien delegates filled the vast hall, their voices blending into a constant roar of conversation, laughter, and political maneuvering. For centuries, this chamber had been the center of galactic power. Empires rose here. Wars ended here. Entire civilizations lived or died based on the decisions made within these walls. And today, humanity stood alone. Ambassador Tamman sat at the small human desk near the edge of the chamber. The placement itself was a message. The oldest species occupied the seats closest to the center. The most influential powers sat beneath towering banners that displayed their achievements. Humanity's desk was almost an afterthought. Small, isolated, easy to ignore. Tamman had grown used to it. The thin diplomat adjusted his glasses and quietly reviewed the data on his tablet. His gray hair and tired eyes revealed years spent fighting battles that never involved weapons. Political battles. The hardest kind. Around him, alien delegates whispered openly. Some pointed. Others smirked. A few laughed. They weren't even trying to hide it. Humans were the youngest race in the council. The newcomers. The upstarts. The species that wasn't supposed to matter. And the galaxy made sure they never forgot it. Suddenly, a loud chime echoed throughout the chamber. Conversations died instantly. Every eye turned toward the central platform. Councillor Vrex rose from his seat. The massive Karari politician stood nearly 8 feet tall. His blue skin shimmered beneath the purple lights, and his 4 muscular arms folded confidently across his chest. The Karari controlled most of the galaxy's trade routes. Their merchant fleets connected thousands of worlds. Their banks financed entire civilizations, and their influence reached far beyond what any official records admitted. When Vrex spoke, governments listened. When Vrex demanded something, worlds obeyed. And when Vrex laughed, others laughed with him. His voice thundered through the chamber. We vote today on the matter of human trade taxation. A holographic display appeared above him. Numbers flashed across the room. Trade percentages, import costs, shipping fees. Then came the proposal. I recommend an immediate increase of 300%. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then scattered sounds of approval followed. Tamman's stomach tightened. 300%. Not a tax. A death sentence. Slowly he stood. Councillors, he began. His voice was calm, though his hands clenched beneath the desk. Such an increase would devastate our colonies. Images appeared above the human station. Agricultural settlements. Mining worlds. Frontier communities. Families. Children. Millions of lives. Our outer systems depend on interstellar trade for food, medicine, and essential supplies. Tamman looked around the chamber. We respectfully ask the council to reconsider. For a brief moment, nobody spoke. Then Vrex laughed. The sound rolled through the chamber like thunder. It wasn't amusement. It was mockery. Your colonies are weak. More laughter followed. Your fleets are outdated. Several delegates nodded. You contribute nothing of significance to our alliance. The laughter grew louder. Tamman remained silent. Inside, anger burned. But he had learned long ago that anger was exactly what they wanted. Vrex stepped forward dramatically. You should be grateful. His eyes gleamed. The council protects humanity. He spread his arms wide. We allow your ships to travel safely. We permit your merchants access to our markets. We tolerate your presence. The word tolerate struck harder than the others. The chamber erupted in approving noises. Some delegates clicked their jaws. Others flashed colors across their skin. A few pounded their desks in agreement. To them, this wasn't cruelty. It was business. Tamman slowly looked around the room. Thousands of representatives. Thousands of intelligent beings. And yet not one of them seemed concerned about the millions of humans who would suffer. Then he noticed something. Not everyone was cheering. A handful of delegates sat quietly, watching, thinking, uncomfortable. They knew this was wrong, but none of them spoke, because standing against the Kurari was dangerous. Vrex raised one hand. The room became silent once more. The motion will now proceed to vote. The holographic voting system activated. Lights appeared above every delegate. Green for approval. Red for rejection. Tammin stared at the display. He already knew the outcome. The Kurari controlled too much influence. Too many debts. Too many favors. Too many politicians. The vote wasn't happening because a decision needed to be made. The decision had already been made. The vote was merely theater. As the first green lights appeared across the chamber, Tammin felt something inside him change. Not fear. Not despair. Something colder. For years, humanity had begged for fairness. For years, they had followed every rule, accepted every insult, paid every fee, made every compromise. And where had it gotten them? Nowhere. He slowly straightened his back. The laughter around him suddenly sounded different. Not powerful, not intimidating. Desperate, as if the old powers of the galaxy were terrified of something. Terrified of what humanity might become. Tammin looked directly at Vrex, then at the sea of green lights filling the chamber. A faint smile appeared on his face. The Kurari counselor noticed it immediately. His laughter faded, because for the first time, the human ambassador didn't look defeated. He looked confident, and somehow, that was far more frightening. The Quarrens clicked their mandibles. The Fuvians hummed in their seats. Nobody spoke for humanity. "We have protected ourselves well," Tammin said quietly. "We ask for nothing but fair treatment." "You ask for respect you have not earned," said High Chancellor Solvex from his raised platform. His ancient face showed no emotion. "The vote will proceed." The vote happened quickly. Lights flashed across the chamber. Red for yes, blue for no. The board showed the results in seconds. Red covered almost everything. The humans would pay 3 times more taxes. Their voice in the council would become even smaller. Tammin sat down. He did not argue. He did not shout. He simply opened his datapad and began recording everything. Next came the human proposals. Tammin had submitted 15 different ideas. Plans to share defensive technology, systems to stop pirates from raiding trade routes, medical programs to help sick colonies, agricultural methods to feed hungry worlds. Rex did not even read them. "Denied," he said. "All of them. Humanity thinks too highly of itself. You have been in space for only 300 years. We have sailed the stars for 10,000. We do not need your help. Our colonies are being attacked." Tammin tried again. His voice stayed calm and steady. "Kurari pirates have raided 6 human settlements this year. We have sent proof. We ask the council for help." Rick smiled. "Pirates are not our problem. They are yours. Protect your own worlds if you can." "The pirates use Kurari military ships," Tammin said. He touched his datapad. Images appeared on the main screen. Ships with Kurari markings. Attack patterns. Stolen cargo records. Old ships. Rex waved one of his forehands. "Stolen ships. Not our responsibility." The other council members looked away. Nobody wanted to anger Vex. Nobody wanted to help the humans. Tammin saved all the records. Every word, every vote, every laughing face. He saved it all to his datapad. Then he stood one more time. "I submit our final notification," he said. He placed a small crystal device on the council desk. It glowed with soft blue light. "Everything we wish to say is recorded here. Please review it when you have time." "We do not have time for more human complaints, Sulk. This meeting is finished." Tammin bowed slightly. He picked up his things and walked toward the exit. As he left, he heard the laughter start again behind him. They were already joking about the humans, already planning the next vote that would hurt humanity. In the corridor outside, Tammin stopped. He looked back at the chamber one last time. His face showed nothing. No anger, no sadness, just calm acceptance. He touched his communication device. "Begin phase 1, he said quietly. "Start the preparations. We are coming home." Far away across human space, messages began spreading. Ships received new orders. Stations prepared for changes. Engineers checked their systems. Scientists backed up their research. Slowly, carefully, Without telling anyone outside their own species, humanity began to plan. The crystal device T-Man left behind sat on the council desk. It glowed and waited. Inside it was humanity's final message to the galaxy, but nobody picked it up. Nobody read it. It sat there, ignored and forgotten, just like the humans themselves. That was their first mistake, their biggest mistake. And soon they would learn what it truly cost them. Admiral Ju stood on the bridge of the Steadfast Promise. Through the wide windows, she watched 3 cargo ships disconnect from the orbital station. They moved slowly, carefully, just like normal. Nothing looked wrong. Nothing seemed different. That was exactly the plan. Station reports full evacuation complete, her officer said. All personnel are aboard the transports. Ju nodded. Send them to Rally Point 7. Tell them to keep their engines quiet. This was happening across all of human space. On 40 different worlds, on hundreds of stations, in thousands of ships. Humans were leaving, but they were leaving without noise, without announcements, without giving anyone time to ask questions. Below on the station, Engineer Dahi worked quickly. His team moved through the corridors with their tools. They removed advanced computer cores. They took apart quantum communication devices. They pulled out the special power generators that humans had invented. Every piece of useful technology came with them. How much time do we have? His assistant asked. 6 hours before the Korean supply ship arrives, Dihan said. We need to be gone in 4. They worked faster. Behind them, they left empty rooms and basic equipment. The station would still work. Life support would function. Lights would shine. But all the clever improvements humans had made were going away. All the extra power, all the better systems, all the small things that made life easier. On the medical station orbiting Practice 4, Dr. Hana supervised the last patients. Most were not human. Fuvian workers with broken limbs, Koran traders with space sickness, Ethian explorers with radiation exposure. Doctor, we must leave soon. Her nurse said, the last transport departs in 2 hours. Hana looked at her patients. She had healed them. She had saved their lives. But their governments had laughed at her people. They had voted to hurt humanity again and again. Stabilize everyone, she said. Transfer them to the automatic medical pods. Set the systems for basic care. They will survive until their own people arrive. The automatic pods are not as good, the nurse said quietly. No, Hana agreed. They are not. But they will have to be enough. She recorded careful instructions for each patient. She left detailed files explaining their conditions. She did everything a good doctor should do. Then she gathered her team and left. Behind her, the research she had been doing stayed locked in encrypted files. Years of work on curing diseases, finding better treatments, helping people live longer, all of it protected now, hidden away where nobody else could use it. Historian Yuna sat in the archives on Earth. She copied the last files onto secure drives. Around her, shelves full of data crystals glowed softly. Everything humanity had learned, everything they had discovered, everything they had shared with the galaxy. Are we keeping any copies in the council databases? Her assistant asked. Yuna shook her head. No, we are removing everything. Every paper we published, every discovery we shared, every helpful formula, it all comes home with us. But that knowledge could help people. It could have, Yuna said. We tried to help. They did not want it. Now they will not have it. She pressed the final button. Across the galaxy and every shared database, human contributions began to disappear. Research papers vanished. Technical documents erased themselves. Helpful guides went dark. Not destroyed, just taken away. Hidden behind locks that nobody else could open. Captain Sujin guided her cargo ship away from the last trade route station. Her hold was empty. She carried no goods for delivery. Behind her, the station looked normal. Ships came and went. Aliens loaded and unloaded cargo. Everything seemed fine, but the station master was human. In 3 days, he would leave too. And when he did, the careful scheduling would stop. The efficient cargo handling would end. The fast loading systems would break down. The station would still work, but everything would become slower, harder, more expensive. This was happening everywhere. Human cargo runners stopped taking contracts. Human mechanics finished their current jobs and did not accept new ones. Human station masters put in their retirement notices. Human teachers completed their current terms and did not renew. Nobody shouted. Nobody complained. They simply stopped. In the council chamber, Rex noticed the first problems after 2 weeks. "Where is the human trade ship?" he demanded. "Our cargo from Sector 7 is late." They sent a message. His aide said ship maintenance. "They will return to service soon." When the aide looked uncomfortable, they did not say. Rex dismissed it. Humans were always having problems with their ships. This was normal, but it was not normal. The ship would never return to service. It was already halfway to human space, carrying important equipment that the Council would soon need. The human communication networks grew quiet. Messages that used to flow freely stopped. The helpful human translators who had made trade easier took vacations. The human programmers who maintained the Council's automated systems sent polite notices about ending their contracts. One by one, piece by piece, humans were pulling away. And they did it so quietly, so carefully, that nobody realized what was really happening. On the steadfast promise, Admiral Ju reviewed the reports. 70% of humans were now back in human space. The rest would follow within days. "Any problems?" she asked. "None," her officer reported. "The Council has not noticed yet." Ju smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was sad and tired. "They will notice soon, and by then it will be too late." The disappearance happened on a Tuesday. Captain Su-jin stood at the command center of the last human station in Council space. Around her, the lights were dimming. Systems were shutting down one by one. Her crew had already boarded the transport ships. She was the last one remaining. "All personnel confirm evacuation complete." Her communication officer reported from the transport. "You are clear to leave, Captain." Su-jin walked through the empty corridors one last time. Her footsteps echoed. The station had been humanity's gateway to the galaxy for 200 years. Now it was just an empty shell. She reached the command deck and entered the final shutdown sequence. The main computers went dark. The quantum beacon that had guided ships for decades powered down. The automated defenses locked themselves into sleep mode. Then she pressed one more button. A message began broadcasting on all frequencies. It was simple. Short final. Human territory is now closed. Council species are no longer permitted to enter. All routes through human space are restricted. This decision is permanent. Do not attempt contact. Do not attempt passage. Goodbye. Su-jin left the station and sealed the doors behind her. Her ship pulled away into the darkness. Behind her, the station went completely dark. At the same moment, across 40 human worlds, the same thing happened. Stations went silent. Beacons stopped transmitting. Communication arrays powered down. In the space of 6 hours, every human presence in Council space simply vanished. Station Master Wu Jin watched from his ship as the colony on Verdun 3 emptied. The last transport lifted off, carrying the final 300 humans. Below, the city lights still glowed. The buildings stood intact. The streets were clean, but no people remained. "It feels wrong," his co-pilot said, "leaving everything behind like this." "We built it," Wu Jin replied. "We can build again. Somewhere they cannot touch us." The colony had taken 50 years to build. Humans had turned a dead rock into a green world. They had planted forests, created lakes, built beautiful cities. Now they were abandoning it all. But they were not destroying it. That was important. Humans did not burn what they left behind. They simply walked away. In the council chamber, Rex finally noticed. It started with small things. The translators who usually helped with difficult languages were absent. The technical staff who maintained the communication systems had not reported for duty. The medical team that ran the health center had left a note saying they were closed. "Find Ambassador Tammen," FX ordered. "I need to speak with him immediately." His aide tried the human embassy. No response. He tried the human communication channels. Silence. He tried the emergency frequencies. "Nothing, sir," the aide said nervously. "The human embassy is empty. The doors are locked. There's nobody inside." Rex felt the first touch of worry. "Check the human stations. All of them." The reports came back quickly. Every human station was dark. Every human colony was empty. Every human ship had vanished from Council space. It was as if humanity had never existed. High Chancellor Solvex called an emergency meeting. The Council chamber filled with confused and angry aliens. Everyone had questions. Nobody had answers. "They cannot simply leave," F shouted. "They have contracts, agreements, treaties. All legally terminated," Aquarian lawyer said, reviewing the files. "They gave proper notice. They fulfilled their obligations. They broke no laws. Where did they go? Solvex demanded. Intel Officer Kyoyong sat in a hidden ship far from Council space. He monitored all their communications. He heard every angry word, every confused question, every demand for answers. He smiled slightly and sent a report to Admiral Ju. They are beginning to panic. They still do not understand. Back in the council chamber, someone finally remembered the crystal device. The one Ambassador Tammin had left behind. It had sat on the desk for weeks, untouched and ignored. Solvex picked it up with trembling hands. He activated it. Tammin's face appeared in the hologram. He looked tired, but calm. By the time you watch this, we will be gone. Tammin's recorded voice said, "We came to you in peace. We offered friendship. We shared our knowledge. We asked only for fair treatment. You responded with mockery, with theft, with cruelty. You dismissed our warnings. You laughed at our pain. You voted again and again to hurt us, while pretending it was justice." The council chamber fell silent. Everyone watched. "We are not angry," Tammin continued. "We are simply done. We have taken our ships, our knowledge, our technology, our people. We have closed our borders. We will not return. Do not try to follow us. Do not try to contact us. You had 300 years to treat us as equals. You chose otherwise. Now you will learn to live with that choice." The hologram faded. The crystal went dark. F tried to access the human databases. They were empty. He tried to call up the trade routes through human space. They were locked. He tried to find the technical manuals for the systems humans had helped build. They were gone. A junior counselor raised her hand. "Sir, the automated defense grid is reporting errors. It says it needs maintenance. Send our technicians," Solve ordered. "Sir, our technicians do not know how to fix it. The humans always maintained it across the galaxy." The realization began to spread. Humans had not just left. They had taken everything with them. Every innovation, every improvement, every helpful system, all the invisible work they had done to make the galaxy function smoothly, was suddenly absent. And now, in the empty space where humanity used to be, the Council faced a new reality. They were on their own, and they had no idea how much they had depended on the species they had always dismissed as weak and unimportant. The silence from human space was absolute. No messages, no signals, no responses. Just emptiness where a civilization used to be. The day humanity departed in silence had arrived, and the Council was only beginning to understand what they had lost. 3 months after the humans left, the problems began. High Chancellor SVC stared at the reports covering his desk. Each one brought worse news. Supply shipments were delayed by weeks. Medical centers were running out of important medicines. Agricultural worlds reported food shortages. 3 different colonies had sent emergency requests for help. "How did this happen?" Salve demanded. "We are an advanced civilization. We have managed ourselves for thousands of years." His age shifted nervously. "Sir, the investigation shows that humans were handling most of our logistics coordination. They managed the shipping schedules. They optimized the trade routes. They made sure supplies reached every colony on time. We have computers for that. The computers were programmed by humans. Sir, they are experiencing errors now. Our technicians cannot fix them. The code is too complex." On the agricultural world of PRA-7, the Puvian farmers watched their crops dying. The irrigation systems had broken down. Water flowed to the wrong fields. Nutrients were not being distributed properly. "Call the repair service," the farm leader said. "They came yesterday," another farmer replied. "They said the systems use human technology. They do not know how to fix them." Then called the humans. "There are no humans anymore. They are gone." The farm leader looked at his dying crops. His people would go hungry this season, maybe the next season too. All because some repair system that humans had installed years ago was not working anymore. In the medical centers, Dr. Zelith faced a different crisis. She was Amanari, a species known for their healing skills, but even she felt helpless now. "The supply ship is 3 weeks late," her nurse reported. "We are running out of pain medicine. The antibiotic stocks are almost empty. Contact the medical supplier," Zelith ordered. We did. They said their production facility is having problems. The humans who ran the quality control systems are gone. They are trying to train new workers, but it will take months. Zelith thought about the human doctor who used to work in this center. Dr. Hana had been quiet and efficient. She never complained. She just did her work and helped everyone. Selith had barely noticed when she left. Now she wished she had paid more attention, had said thank you, had asked her to stay. The Council's automated defense grid failed on a Tuesday morning. No warning, no gradual decline. It just stopped working. Thousands of satellites that protected Council space from asteroids and debris went silent. Get it working again, Rex ordered. The Cathari technicians tried for 3 days. They could not even understand what was wrong. The system was too advanced, too complicated. The humans had built it and maintained it for 200 years. Nobody else had bothered to learn how it worked. We need to contact the humans, the chief technician finally admitted. We cannot fix this without their help. The humans are not answering. Rex growled. Send them another message. They sent hundreds of messages, all different frequencies, all different languages, emergency signals, diplomatic requests, trade offers, even apologies. Nothing came back, except automated responses. Human territory closed, no contact permitted. Do not attempt entry. Trade Minister Nexar watched his economy collapse. The numbers were terrible, and getting worse. Shipping costs had doubled. Delivery times had tripled. Some routes were completely shut down because nobody knew how to navigate through the dangerous sectors that humans use to guide ships through. The humans charged fair prices, Nexar said bitterly. We thought they were making too much profit. Now I see they were actually charging too little for what they provided. Smaller colonies began to suffer most. The humans had always made sure supplies reached even the most remote settlements. They had worked the difficult routes that bigger companies ignored. Now those colonies were cut off, struggling to survive. On the colony world of Keston Minor, the Ethan settlers faced starvation. Their food shipments had not arrived in 2 months. The backup supplies were almost gone. Can we grow our own food? Someone asked. The human agricultural specialist taught us that, the colony leader said. But they are gone now. We never wrote down what they taught us. We thought they would always be here. The council met again. The chamber was tense. Species were starting to blame each other. The Korari blamed the Korarians for bad management. The Korarians blamed the Fuvians for charging too much. The Fuvians blamed the Korari for creating the mess in the first place. This is because of you, Uvian delegate shouted at Rex. You pushed the humans too hard. You laughed at them. You stole from them. Now we all suffer. Rex's face darkened with anger. The humans were weak. They should have stayed and served us properly. Served us? Another counselor asked. Or served you? How much did your species make from the unfair taxes? How rich did the Korari become while the humans paid and paid? The argument grew louder. Voices rose. Some counselors stood and shouted. Others walked out. For the first time in 1,000 years, the council could not agree on anything. High Chancellor SVC struck his desk for silence. Enough. We must focus on solutions. We must adapt. We must learn to manage without the humans. It will take years, Trade Minister Nexar said quietly. Maybe decades. By then, how many will have died? How many colonies will be lost? Solve had no answer. That night, he sat alone in his office. He pulled up old video files from council meetings. He watched Ambassador Tamman speaking, asking for help, offering solutions, being ignored, again and again. In one video, Timon warned about agricultural problems on the Rim colonies. He had a plan to fix it. The council had voted it down. Now those same colonies were starving. In another video, Tamman explained how to improve the medical supply chain. The council had called it unnecessary. Now medical centers across the galaxy were running out of medicine. Solvex watched video after video. Every warning the humans had given had come true. Every solution they had offered was needed now. Every prediction they had made was happening. The humans had known. They had seen all of this coming. And they had tried to help, but nobody had listened. Now the galaxy was breaking apart piece by piece, and the species who could have fixed it were gone. Hidden behind barriers nobody could cross, refusing to answer any calls. The council had acted too late, and the regret was only beginning. Explorer had a mission: find the humans, bring them back, save the galaxy. His ship was the finest the Quarrens could build. His crew was experienced and skilled. They carried gifts and apologies. They carried offers of better treatment. They carried the desperate hopes of a failing civilization. Approaching the human border, his navigator said, "Coordinates match the last known position of human space." Thuran looked at the screens. Space appeared empty. No ships, no stations, no signals. Just darkness and stars. "Send the greeting message," Thane ordered. Tell them we come in peace. Tell them we want to talk. They sent the message. They waited. No response came. Try the emergency frequencies, THNE said. They tried every frequency, every code, every language. Nothing came back except that same automated response they had heard a H100 times before. Human territory closed. No contact permitted. Do not attempt entry. Move forward slowly, 3 ordered. We need to find them. The ship moved ahead. Then something changed. The stars looked wrong. Space itself seemed to shimmer. The navigation computers began showing errors. Sir, we are detecting some kind of barrier, the science officer said. It is like nothing I have ever seen. A quantum field of some kind. It surrounds all of human space. And can we pass through it? I do not recommend trying, sir. The readings are unstable. Our ship might not survive. Fell frustration building. The humans were right there, just beyond this barrier, but he could not reach them, could not talk to them, could not even see what was on the other side. Pull back, he finally ordered. We will try another approach. Back in council space, Counselor Vrex refused to give up. If talking did not work, maybe force would. He gathered a military fleet, 50 Korthari warships, the pride of his species. We will break through their barrier, Rex announced. We will force them to negotiate. Admiral Cohn led the fleet. He was old and experienced. He had fought in many battles, but he had never fought humans before. Nobody had. Humans had always been peaceful. The fleet reached the human border. The same barrier appeared. The same shimmer in space. All ships, prepare weapons, Cohn ordered. Target the barrier. Fire on my command. 50 warships fired together. Energy beams and missiles struck the barrier. For a moment, the barrier glowed bright. Then the weapons simply disappeared. Absorbed. Gone. Fire again, Cohn ordered. They fired again and again. Nothing worked. The barrier absorbed everything. It did not even flicker. Sir, 3 ships are reporting system failures. The communication officer said their engines are shutting down. What? How? Unknown, sir. The engines just stopped working. Then more ships reported problems. Navigation systems failed. Weapons went offline. Life support began showing errors. Within an hour, half the fleet was dead in space, drifting helplessly. Retreat, Cohn ordered. Pull back immediately. The working ships grabbed the disabled ones and dragged them away from the barrier. As soon as they moved far enough back, the systems came back online. But the message was clear. The humans did not want visitors, and they had ways to enforce that wish. Meanwhile, young scholar Mira had a different idea. She was Ethan, curious and determined. Instead of trying to find the humans, she decided to study what they had left behind. In the abandoned human archives on Verdun 3, she found treasure. Computers that humans had not taken with them, files they had not deleted, information about human history and culture. Look at this, she told her research partner. The humans kept records of everything, every council meeting, every vote, every decision. They spent weeks reading through the files. The story they found shocked them. Humans had warned the council about the Korari pirates 12 different times. Each time they provided proof. Each time the council ignored them. Humans had proposed solutions to the food shortage on the Rim worlds 3 years before it happened. The council voted it down as too expensive. Humans had designed improvements to the medical supply system. The council rejected it, saying their current system worked fine. They tried to help us, Mira whispered. For hundreds of years they tried. We never listened. She found videos of Ambassador Tamman speaking. His voice was always calm. His manner was always polite, but in his eyes, she could see the pain, the frustration, the sadness of being ignored again and again. She found records of human innovations. Humans had invented the quantum beacon that guided all trade ships. They had designed the agricultural systems that fed billions. They had created medical treatments that saved countless lives, and they had shared it all freely. They had asked for nothing except fair treatment in return. We need to show this to the council, Mira said. At the next council meeting, Mira presented her findings. She showed the videos. She read the warnings. She displayed the evidence of everything humans had contributed. The council chamber fell silent as they watched. Some counselors looked ashamed. Others looked angry. F looked away, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. The humans built the foundation our civilization rested on, Mira concluded, and we treated them like servants, like tools to be used and discarded. Now that foundation is gone, and we are collapsing. High Chancellor Solve stood slowly. He looked old and tired. We were fools. I was a fool. I thought humans were simply young and weak. I did not see how much they held us together. So what do we do? Someone asked. We learn, SVC said. We study what they left behind. We train ourselves to do the work they did. We accept that we made a terrible mistake, and we hope that someday, somehow, they might forgive us. And if they do not, Solvex looked at the empty seat where Ambassador Tae Min used to sit. Then we learn to live with the consequences of our actions. We learn to survive without them. And we teach our children never to make the same mistake again. In human space behind the quantum barrier, Ambassador Tammin received reports of all these events. He read about the failed military attack. He saw Mira's research presentation. He watched the Council's growing desperation. Should we respond? An aide asked. Tammin shook his head. No, they need to learn this lesson themselves. We tried to teach them with words. They would not listen. Now they are learning through consequences. It is a harder teacher, but a more effective one. Some of them seem genuinely sorry. Perhaps they are, Timon said. But sorry is not enough. We gave them 300 years. We were patient, we were kind, we were helpful, and they threw it all back in our faces. How they must live with their choice. He turned off the display and looked out at human space. Beyond the barrier, humanity was thriving, building new worlds, creating new technologies, living in peace, without the constant struggle of dealing with the Council's contempt. They had found something better than acceptance from others. They had found strength in themselves, and they would never go back. 2 years had passed since humanity left. The Galactic Council was dying. High Chancellor Solvex stood in what remained of the Council chamber. Half the seats were empty now. 5 species had withdrawn completely, retreating to their home systems. 3 more were considering it. The great alliance that had lasted 10,000 years was falling apart. The Puvians are leaving, his aide reported. They sent their formal withdrawal this morning. Sex was not surprised anymore. Every week brought more bad news. Every month saw another species give up and leave. What reason did they give? They said the Council cannot protect them, cannot feed them, cannot help them, so they will help themselves. Solvix nodded slowly. It was true. The Council had become useless. Worse than useless. It was now just a place where species argued and blamed each other for problems nobody could fix. On the rim colonies, people were starving. Medical supplies had run out months ago. The defense grid had never been repaired. Pirates raided freely, taking whatever they wanted. And in the center of it all, the Korari and Korarians were at war. It had started over a trade dispute. Some cargo that went missing. Some payments that were not made. In the old days, humans would have mediated. They would have found a fair solution. Everyone would have accepted it and moved on. But there were no humans anymore. So instead of talking, the 2 species started fighting. Admiral Cone led his Korthari fleet against the Koran border worlds. He was angry and bitter. His species was suffering. His people were hungry. And he blamed the Korans for everything. They caused this, he told his officers. They convinced the Council to tax the humans too much. They drove humanity away. Now we all pay the price. The Korans blamed the Korari right back. You mocked the humans, their leaders said. You stole from them. You laughed when they asked for help. This is your fault. The war spread quickly. Other species took sides. Some joined the Korthari. Others joined the Koreans. A few tried to stay neutral. But neutrality became impossible as the fighting grew worse. Planets burned. Ships exploded in space. Millions died. And for what? For pride? For blame? For the desperate need to make someone else responsible for the disaster they had all created together. Counselor Vex sat alone in his empty mansion. Once he had been powerful, respected, feared. Now he was just an old Korari, watching his world collapse. His species was starving. The trade routes that made them rich were gone. The food supplies they depended on had dried up. His people were rioting in the streets, demanding he fix everything. But he could not fix it. Nobody could. The systems that had fed his people for centuries were built by humans, maintained by humans, bandaged by humans, and the humans were gone. He pulled up old video files just like SVX had done. He watched himself laughing at Ambassador Tommen, mocking human proposals, voting to increase their taxes while decreasing their rights. In the videos, his younger self looked so confident, so certain of his superiority. He had believed humans were weak and foolish, that they needed the council more than the council needed them. How wrong he had been. "Sir," his servant entered nervously. "There is a crowd outside. They are demanding you speak to them." Rex heard the shouting through the walls. His own people angry and desperate, wanting answers he did not have, wanting solutions that did not exist. "Tell them I will address them tomorrow," Vic said quietly. "Sir, I do not think they will wait until tomorrow." Rex nodded. He understood. This was the end for him. His people would not forgive what he had done, how he had destroyed their future through arrogance and pride. Refugee leader Pix guided his people through the broken remains of council space. He was small and quick. His species had always been traders and travelers. Now they were just refugees, searching for somewhere safe to live. "How many ships do we have left?" Pix asked. 43, his assistant replied. "We lost 6 more last week to pirates." 43 ships carrying the last of his people. Once the Feluvians had numbered in the billions, now they were down to a few 100,000. The rest were dead or scattered across hostile space. "Can we reach the Ethan colonies? Maybe if we avoid the war zones? If the pirates do not find us? If our food supplies last long enough?" Too many ifs. Too many things that could go wrong. Pix looked at the children in his ship, hungry children, scared children, children who would grow up in a galaxy much darker than the one he had known. He remembered the human teachers who used to visit Feluvian schools. They taught agriculture, medicine, engineering, skills that could have saved his people now. But the Fuvians had not paid attention. They had thought those skills were boring, unnecessary, something for lesser species to worry about. Now they wished desperately that they had learned, that they had listened, that they had written down even a fraction of what the humans had tried to teach them. The council met one final time. Only 12 species sent representatives. The chamber that once held thousands now had less than 100 people in it. "This council is dissolved," High Chancellor Solvac announced. His voice was flat and empty. "We cannot protect our members. We cannot maintain order. We cannot even keep the lights working in this station. Each species will return to their own territory. We wish you all good fortune." Nobody argued. Nobody even looked surprised. They had all seen this coming. As the council members filed out, Svex remained behind. He looked at the empty chamber one last time. He thought about all the centuries of history, all the great decisions made here, all the civilizations that had worked together to build something magnificent. And he thought about how quickly it had all fallen apart, how fragile it had been, how much it had depended on one species that everyone had dismissed as unimportant. "We never even thanked them," Solv said to the empty room. "Not once, not ever." He walked out and sealed the doors behind him. The council chamber would stand empty now, a monument to arrogance, a reminder of a terrible mistake. Across the galaxy and human space, they heard about the council's dissolution. Some humans felt satisfaction, others felt sadness. Most felt nothing at all. The council was the past. Human civilization had moved on to something new. Ambassador Tammin, now retired, sat in his garden on Earth. He grew flowers, he wrote poetry, he enjoyed his grandchildren. Sometimes young people came to interview him. They wanted to know about the old days, about the council, about why humanity had left. "We left because staying hurt us," Tammin always explained. "We tried to help them. We tried to be good partners, but they could not see us as equals. So we found our equality elsewhere." "Do you regret leaving?" they always asked. "No," Tammin said simply. "I regret that it was necessary, but I do not regret the choice. We are happier now, freer, better." "Will we ever go back?" Tammin looked at his flowers. He thought about the council, about Vrex and Solvex and all the others who had learned too late. "No," he said finally. "We will never go back. That chapter is closed. Now we write a new story, our own story, and it does not need them in it." 10 years had passed since humanity left. The galaxy had changed completely. Young scholar Mira stood before a classroom of Ethan students. She was older now, a respected professor. Her life's work was studying the humans who had disappeared. "Today we discuss the human departure," she began. "The day that changed our galaxy forever." The students sat quietly. They had all grown up hearing stories about humans, about the magical species who built wonders and then vanished. To them, humans were like legends, like myths. "Were the humans really so advanced?" a young student asked. Mira smiled sadly. Yes, but more than that. They were wise, patient, kind, and we treated them terribly. She showed images of the old council, of the empty human colonies, of the barrier that still surrounded human space, impenetrable and silent. Can we ever contact them again? Another student asked. We try every year, Mira said. We send messages, we send apologies, we send offerings of friendship. Nothing ever comes back. The humans made their choice, and they will not change it. In the ruins of what used to be council space, new alliances had formed, smaller, weaker, but more honest. The species who survived had learned hard lessons. The Feluvians and Ethians had formed a partnership. They shared resources fairly. They helped each other in times of need. They treated each other with respect. We learned from watching the humans, refugee leader Pix explained to his grandchildren. They showed us how to treat partners. We were too stupid to learn when they were here, but we learned after they left. His people had survived. Barely. They had found a new home on an Ethan world. They had rebuilt their society. But they would never forget the dark years after the humans left, when they had lost everything, and nearly went extinct. The Korari had not been so fortunate. Their empire had collapsed completely. Civil war had destroyed their homeworlds. Most of their species was gone now. The survivors lived scattered across the galaxy, refugees who nobody wanted. Former Counselor Rex was one of the few still alive. He was ancient now, living in a small shelter on a forgotten colony. His wealth was gone. His power was gone. His species was nearly gone. Every day he walked to the memorial. It stood in the center of the colony, a simple stone monument, with words carved in multiple languages. Here we apologize to humanity. We wronged them, we dismissed them, we drove them away. We will teach our children never to repeat our mistake. Vex would stand before the monument for hours, just an old alien, bent with age and regret. I'm sorry, he would whisper to the stone. I am so sorry, but the humans never heard. They were far away, beyond their barrier, living lives the galaxy would never see. Captain Dwick patrolled the human border. He was young, born after the departure. He had never seen the council, never met an alien. He only knew the stories his parents told. Ship approaching the barrier, his officer reported. Same as always. Ethan diplomatic vessel. Let them come, Dewok said. Let them see. The Ethan ship stopped at the barrier. They sent their message. The same message they sent every year. Humanity, we seek dialogue. We wish to apologize. We wish to learn from our mistakes. Please respond. Dwick listened. Then he sent the standard reply. Human territory remains closed. We appreciate your message. We wish you well, but we will not reopen contact. Please do not return. The Ethan ship lingered for a moment, then turned and left. They would try again next year, and the year after. But the answer would always be the same. Do you think we will ever let them back in? The officer asked. Dwick shook his head. Why would we? We have everything we need here. Peace, prosperity, security. Out there is only conflict and pain. Why would we choose that? Deep in human space, civilization thrived. Human world stretched across dozens of systems now. Beautiful cities, advanced technology, art, and culture that flourished without interference. They had not stagnated in isolation. They had grown, evolved, become something greater than they had been before. Ambassador Tai Min had died 5 years ago. He had been very old. At his funeral, thousands came to honor him. The man who had endured the council's contempt with dignity. The man who had led humanity to freedom. His granddaughter Jisoo was now a council member in humanity's own government. She had never seen an alien in person, only in historical videos. Do you ever wonder about them? Her colleague asked. The other species out there. Jisoo thought about it. Sometimes I wonder if they learned, if they became better. But mostly, I am just grateful we are here instead of there. Would you ever consider reopening the borders? No, Jisoo said firmly. Never. My grandfather gave everything to get us free. Thousands of our ancestors suffered under their system. We will not go back. Not ever. She looked at the historical archives, at the videos of the old council meetings, at her grandfather's tired face as he endured mockery and dismissal year after year. They had their chance, she said quietly. 300 years of chances. They used everyone to hurt us. Now they live with the consequences. In a small classroom on the Ethian homeworld, a young student raised his hand. Professor Mira, If you could send one message to the humans, what would you say? Mira paused. She had thought about this question for years. I would say thank you, she finally answered. Thank you for trying. Thank you for helping us even when we did not deserve it. Thank you for leaving peacefully instead of destroying us, though you would have had every right. Thank you for teaching us through your absence what we should have learned from your presence. Do you think they would forgive us? Mira looked at the empty seat in her classroom. She always kept one seat empty, a reminder of what was lost. I think they have moved past forgiveness, she said. Forgiveness suggests they are still thinking about us, still caring about what we did. I think the truth is harder than that. I think they have simply moved on. We are history to them. A difficult chapter that they closed and will never reopen. That is sad. The student said. Yes, Mira agreed. It is very sad, but it is what we earned. And the saddest part is that they were right to leave us. They are better off without us, and we are much worse off without them. The student looked troubled. Then what do? We learn, Mira said. We teach. We make sure the next generation understands what was lost and why. We try to build a galaxy where such a terrible mistake could never happen again. We can never bring the humans back, but we can honor their memory by becoming the kind of species they hoped we would be. On the edge of human space, Captain Duwook watched the stars. Beyond the barrier, the galaxy continued its struggles. Wars, conflicts, suffering. None of it touched humanity anymore. His young daughter climbed into his lap. Papa, tell me about the old days. What do you want to know? Were the aliens really so mean to us? W nodded. Yes, they were. But we survived. We left. We built something better. Will we ever see them again? Dwick looked at his daughter, at her innocent face, at the peaceful life she lived, free from the contempt and struggle his grandparents had endured. No, he said gently. We will not. And that is okay. We do not need them. We have each other. We have our worlds. We have our peace. That is enough. His daughter smiled and hugged him. She knew no other life, no other galaxy. She was happy here, safe behind the barrier that kept the old hurts away. And across human space, billions shared that happiness, that peace, that freedom from the species who had taken them for granted. The day humanity departed in silence had become legend, a reminder, a warning. And for humanity itself, it had become their liberation. The Council had acted too late. They had learned their lesson. But the lesson came at a price they would pay forever. And humanity, thriving in their chosen isolation, had no regrets at all.